We're getting into a lot of terraforming now and building better worlds.
Yeah, yeah, I saw the commercial. Look, I don't have time for this.
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn, and today we're back at it with another deck tech straight out of Edge of Eternity's early access. And this deck is looking wild. This one's called Terraforming, and it is about time we finally get back to mono green being relevant in Standard. I am super excited about that, and I think multiple mono green decks are going to be contenders in the new Standard, which I'm excited about. This one in particular is all about landfall. It's all about finding all of the lands, ramping, triggering all of the insane landfall abilities we have, and uses a number of new cards from Edge of Eternities to just crank all of that up to 11 and take it to the moon, guys. Absolutely insane this deck is, and I can't wait to experiment with something like this in the future that maybe splashes another color. There's so much potential for a deck like this. I'm super pumped. But we're going to check out the deck, we're going to break it down, and then we have a bunch of gameplay for you guys. Before we do, please like the video. It helps me get the video out to so many more people, it helps the channel grow, and it honestly makes a huge difference, way more than you would think. So, to everyone that has been liking every video, thank you so much. Make sure and smash that like button. Make sure and leave me a comment letting me know that you're one of those that has been doing that, because I appreciate it so much, and I want to make sure I heart those comments. Also, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a drop. I've got tons of videos on the way. We're going to be dropping a deck tech video every single day. I still have a couple of leftover spoiler thoughts from this set that I want to get to, my top 10 and stuff like that before the set officially launches on Arena. So look forward to all of that stuff coming the next couple of days. Also, be sure to catch me live Monday through Friday over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/QuarantineCapricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. In fact, if you're watching this when it first goes live, I'm probably streaming right now on Twitch for Community Night from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to play games against me, the entire night's going to be games against all of you guys. So come on over to Twitch, jump in the queue, and let's have some fun. I'll see you there. But let's break down this deck. Finally, mono green is back in a huge way. I think there are going to be multiple mono green decks that are viable in the new Standard. This one in particular is a landfall centric deck using a number of new cards from Edge of Eternities that are actually really insane when paired with all of the other landfall payoffs that we already have in Standard right now. So let's talk about some of the new cards right off the bat. First of all, we have Famished Worldsire. 8 mana, which is a lot, but it has Ward 3, Devours Land 3, and when it enters, you look at the top X cards of your library, where X is this creature's power. Put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffle. So basically, you play this, you eat all of the lands. For each land that you eat, you get to look at 3 cards, you get 3 +1/+1 counters, and out of those 3 cards, you pick any lands you hit, put them right straight back onto the battlefield. So most of the time, almost all of the time, you're going to hit at least as many lands as you sacrificed and have them all enter the battlefield at the same times. Sometimes you're going to hit even more than what you sacrificed, and all of those are going to count as landfall triggers all at once. So everything that you already have on the board that can capitalize on landfall triggers is going to get a metric ton of triggers, and you're going to be able to just run over your opponent that turn and probably win. But if that isn't enough, you have this giant body with Ward 3 as well, and you have all of your lands still sitting there, replaced by new lands, to keep going in subsequent turns. So pretty crazy top end. You do have to get to a lot of mana to play it, but there are so many ways to ramp in this deck that shouldn't be too much of a problem. We also have 4 copies of Mightform Harmonizer, which is probably the most important of the new cards in this deck. A 4/4 for 4 mana, has a landfall ability. Whenever a land you control enters, you double the power of target creature you control until end of turn. And it can warp in for 1 green and 2 as well, which means it's going to enter play and at the end of your turn be exiled and can later be played for its normal cost from exile. But that's cool because sometimes you can get this out just a little bit earlier with that warp cost and get a bunch of your landfall triggers and pop off and make your guys so huge that they just run your opponent over and win outright, and you don't have to really worry about getting to the full 4 mana cost. But you have options. You can either wait to play this for 4, or you can play it early for 3. Sometimes you can do both, which is really, really crazy. It's also worth noting that since it's a 4/4, it's really good for crewing the Lumbering Worldwagon. We're running 2 copies of this. On turn 3, we can use it to fetch a land. Every time it swings, it fetches a land. And we can crew 4, tapping the Mightform Harmonizer. Even if this doesn't have haste, comes down, we get a bunch of landfall triggers, we can still use it to crew the Worldwagon as well. In fact, crew the Worldwagon first, and then play your lands, maybe your Fabled Passages or your Escape Tunnels to get multiple landfall triggers, and double the powers of the Worldwagon, and it just gets insane. Swings, gets you another land, does everything you want. We've also got 3 copies of Larval Scoutlander. Similar to the Lumbering Worldwagon, this is a 3-drop that's going to fetch you lands, except you're going to want to sacrifice one of your lands when you play it, and then search for any 2 and put them into the battlefield. This ramps us 1 mana overall, but it also gets us 2 landfall triggers. We're sacking 1, but then we're getting 2. So we're going to get to trigger all of our landfall stuff twice, like the Mightform Harmonizer and some of the other cards that we'll get to in just a little bit, which is already pretty crazy. But sometimes when you're playing some of these big mono-green beats and they don't have haste, and you don't really need to worry about blocking, it's very easy to just use them to station up the Larval Scoutlander, and then a little bit later in the game you have a 3/3 flyer just kind of incidentally from your ramp card that can maybe get through for that little bit of extra damage you need to deal in the air, which I think is actually pretty noteworthy. We're also running 1 copy of the Icetill Explorer at the top end. This isn't like insane, I don't feel like we need to run 4, but I think the first one is always pretty welcome. A 2/4 for 4 mana, you can play an additional land on each of your turns, and you can play lands from your graveyard, which is already by itself really good since we're running 8 sack lands that can sack to fetch basics. We can just keep bringing them back from the graveyard with Icetill Explorer and replaying them and getting all of our landfall triggers over and over and over again, which is kind of nutty. He also has a landfall ability himself. Whenever a land you control enters, you mill a card. Sometimes that's reasonable, sometimes that's helpful, can put stuff in the graveyard like other lands so that we can bring them back with the Icetill Explorer's other abilities, which is really, really nice. Going back to the core of the deck though, we've got 4 Llanowar Elves on 1 to ramp us early. We've got 4 Saz's Chocobo so that if we don't have the Elves, we at least get some early board presence that's just going to grow insanely out of control with all of the mana ramp and landfall triggers that we're going to get. We've also got 2 copies of Snakeskin Veil. It's a good way to just protect some of our key pieces so that we can finally swing in and win the game when our opponent wants to remove our biggest threat. It's also worth noting, I think this is probably the best protection piece because of the +1/+1 counter. There are a couple of cards in this deck that synergize specifically with +1/+1 counters that get just a little bit of extra value from that counter. So I decided to choose this over some of the other options. Moving on to the 2-drop slot, we have 3 copies of Bristly Bill. This is going to get us even more value off of landfall triggers, get us more +1/+1 counters to synergize with that stuff. And we also see our first +1/+1 counter payoff that I was talking about for the Snakeskin Veil. Has this 5 mana ability, double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. So if there's an extra +1/+1 counter from the Snakeskin Veil, we can get even more out of that ability if we decide to use it. We're also running 3 copies of Tifa Lockhart, 2 mana for a 1/2 trample, and it has a landfall ability that makes it so that whenever a land you control enters, you double Tifa Lockhart's power until end of turn. Absolutely insane. Sometimes this just comes out of nowhere and wins game. If you can drop multiple lands on the same turn, this just gets insanely out of control with power, and the entire deck is sort of built around being able to do that. And if you have Tifa on the board with Mightform Harmonizer, every single land could potentially like double twice a Tifa, which is kind of absurd. We've also got 3 copies of Glimpse the Core, which, even though it only searches for basic forests, is fine in this deck because it's monocolor, so being able to ramp for just 2 mana and trigger all of our landfall abilities is pretty significant, and we don't have to sacrifice a land for this one either. Moving on to the 3-drop slot, in addition to some of the newer cards and the Lumbering Worldwagons, which I already talked about, we are running 2 copies of Traveling Chocobo. This is great because sometimes when we're out of gas, we're out of lands to play to trigger our landfall abilities. We might be able to hit one off the top and play it off the top with Traveling Chocobo. We can also, if a land or bird we control entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger, it triggers an additional time. So every single landfall ability we have is going to trigger double times when the Traveling Chocobo is out, which means Tifa can double twice, Harmonizer can double twice. If all 3 of them are on the battlefield, we're getting like 4 doublings out of just 1 land, and if you crack a Fabled Passage, play a Fabled Passage, crack it, and you're getting 2 landfall triggers, that turns into like 8. Just absolutely insane, ridiculous stuff. And then the really big beat stick in the deck, is Mossborn Hydra, a 0/0 trampler for 1 green and 2. It enters with a +1/+1 counter on it, so it will be a 1/1. And landfall, whenever a land you control enters, double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. This thing gets insanely huge, keeps the trample because of all of the ridiculous landfall triggers, but also it specifically cares about counters. You double the number of counters on it when you get a landfall trigger, so it's another way for us to get a little bit of extra value off those Snakeskin Veils that I talked about earlier. If you have 1 more counter on it to begin with, you kind of have a head start on doubling those counters with the Mossborn Hydra. The deck is kind of insane. We can even use the escape tunnels as an alternate win con to sack and make something unblockable maybe before we get a bunch of landfall triggers, and pump up its power, and then it keeps the unblockability and still swings in and smashes for a bunch of damage. The deck is just out of control. It's super fast, it's super efficient, and your opponent has to have a ton of removal if they want any chance whatsoever to slow you down. And if you manage to keep your landfall triggers on the battlefield when you get to playing Famished Worldsire, it is just over. That card just gets you so many triggers, it is out of control. The deck's insane. Not only that, the Famished Worldsire can still contribute to that attack by crewing like your Lumbering Worldwagon or something. So just a lot of potential for landfall in the current meta. I'm really excited about this set rotating in and getting rid of a bunch of those old sets that I've been waiting forever to go. But I think this deck is sweet, and I can't wait to check out the games, so let's do it. Alright, we are going to mulligan this because we have no early plays, and that feels super bad. We definitely have to keep this. We'll put back the Icetill Explorer. And we're going to have to start with the Fabled Passage, unfortunately. We need to be able to play Tifa on 2. Mia Largo. Mr. Ghost Vacuum. It's good to see you. Alright. Forest, Tifa. If he has removal for Tifa, I'm going to be really sad. I guess we'll see what happens. Tough cookie. That's fine. Tifa will die in combat if I attack. Might be worth it though. Nah, he'll just eat it with the Ghost Vacuum. We'll hold off. I don't love it, but we'll hold off. I think we probably want the Worldwagon first. Hey, what's up, CNAWS? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you, my dude. Scrap shooter. You gotta be a scrap shooter. That's very unfortunate. I'm trying to think if I should Scoutlander. Probably not. I could swing with Tifa if I did. But I think it's just better to do this. Get set up for next turn. Unfortunately. But we can play the Mightform Harmonizer and then use it to crew the Worldwagon and swing. And that would actually be really strong.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour,
You better
you're
believe
gonna
it.
see some serious shit.
Alright, crew it with the Mightform Harmonizer. Swing. So now it's coming in for 16 trample. So he's going to take 11 and lose his whole board. I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Get a bunch of treasures, but my Worldwagon is still alive. And my Harmonizer is still alive. What else you got, Mia Largo? Gold Vein Hydra. Swing for 7. Interesting. I guess we start with Traveling Chocobo. And we try to set up the top of our deck. I guess we do this. And then we play you. Seems pretty good. Sacrifice a forest, find 2. Get all the triggers ever. That seems fine. That seems perfectly fine. That seems normal, right? Seems perfectly normal. Just a normal amount of damage from a normal mono green deck. Alright, we're gonna keep this. This looks fine. I think we probably go Forest Llanowar Elves. Hope to draw a good 2-drop or an untapped land. We'll take it. Do we do the Scoutlander? It's gonna kind of be wasted. I guess we kind of just have to, right? We don't really have any other options. It's fine, though. It's fine. Station! Station! Hey, you're doing my work for me. 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, 7, 7, 7. 7, 7. I mean, I guess we just do this. Hold on to the escape tunnel. Station. Pass a turn. Really rough assortment of cards in our hand, that's for sure. 6 mana. This will get us our 7th. It's possible 2 turns from now we can just play the Worldshire, but we don't have anything to trigger with it. Just the body isn't really going to do quite enough for us, I don't think, especially with the Death Toucher out. Pretty unfortunate. Well, that'll do something at least. We will grab a land. I really wish I could crew that to station that. That would be nice. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That will be enough next turn. That will be enough next turn. I like tapping down the Llanowar Elves with the station ability because it's even less of a target for our opponent if it's not in his way. And we need that 8 mana for the Worldshire. Yes, keep hurting yourself. I appreciate it. Weird. Let's find the land. My turn. 'Cause it's my turn. There's a lot happening here. There's a lot happening here. We're gonna go Mightform Harmonizer. We're gonna go Station. Pass a turn, hold up Snakeskin Veil so we can have a blocker. Next turn we should be able to win. Because we're gonna have 1,000,000 damage in the air. 1,000,000. We should be able to block enough this turn that we don't die. Theoretically. Although I probably should have just crewed the Worldwagon and blocked with it instead to be safe. Alenda. But if you can't kill the Scoutlander, we got you in the air, buddy. He doesn't even realize. He doesn't even realize. Now he realizes. We were about to get 1,000,000 landfall triggers and swing for 1,000,000 in the air. Crazy. Alright, this looks pretty good. I think we're going to keep it. We've got a backup Tifa if they kill the first Tifa, which is really nice. We've got plenty of forests. Although it would have been nice if we got some Fabled Passages, some Sacklands to go with the Icetill Explorer. Weapons manufacturing. 𝐻𝐫𝐞𝐳, Cruel Captain.
Defying me will be your last act.
Well, we'll play a forest. We'll play a Mossborn Hydra. And we'll attack 𝐻𝐫𝐞𝐳.
Hardly a real threat.
So I guess we go forest. Icetill Explorer. Forest. Saz's Chocobo. And then we just smash. Alright, he's at 12. She's at 12. And doing nothing. Very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. Alright, just do all the things, I guess. Just do all of the things. I guess that's it? Not really. Alright, I think we can keep this. Llanowar Elf on 1, Mossborn Hydra on 2. Tifa if they kill the Hydra. Or Tifa if they kill the Llanowar Elf, I guess. That's fine, though. It's my Brewmaster-in-Chief! Lone Fox. Brynhildr, huh? Bryn... Frickin' Hilder! Do what you need to do. Ow. I didn't mean it. That was rude. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Warden of the Grove. No blocks. There will be none. I guess we use this one because we don't need the extra mana. Let me do some math here. If I Snakeskin Veil first, we go 3, 6, 12. Nah, it's not worth it. We'll wait until next turn. We'll wait until next turn. Hold up the Snakeskin Veil. Let's see if Gruul's got removal for an 8/8. Edge Rover. Put a counter on it. Innkeeper's Talent. Unfortunately, I think you're just dead. Didn't even get to play the Worldshire.
Let's rock!
Bros, I didn't even get to play the Worldshire. Brutal. This looks pretty good. We'll keep it. The one Jame himself. We'll start with a forest and a Saz's Chocobo. Look at him. He's so cute. We'll go forest. Tifa. Smash. Just a couple of 1-2s. What's the problem? Apparently, nope, no problem, I guess. No problem at all. We'll play the Hydra. See if he's got more removal. Card is so good. Might be the best card in the set. It might be. Do we try to hit a land off the top with the Chocobo? I think we don't take a chance. This move has the lowest ceiling. We could potentially do a lot more with the Traveling Chocobo, but it's the safest. I think he's trying to save up to sweep, which is why it's a good idea as well. Only having one actual creature out, we're pretty safe from sweepers. Traveling Chocobo alone is not going to be enough to crew this. But if we top deck a land, we can go Bill into Chocobo, and if we don't top deck a land, we could maybe go Chocobo and get lucky and hit a land off the top. And still play the Bill. Ooh. Yep, that's what we want. Seventh Heaven. Is there gonna be a way to use Bristly Bill to crew this? No. So I guess we might as well do that. And then we go like this. And then we go like this. That seems pretty good. Double Bristly Bill triggers because of the Chocobo. And then double triggers for 32 damage. Sure. We can do that, I guess. Trampling. We didn't even play our new cards. Although we had one in our hand and one coming up. This hand looks good. We'll keep it. The nerdy Steve is untouchable, apparently. We'll start with Saz's Chocobo. Ooh, that's real tempting. But I think we want Bristly Bill out there. Yep. I will, Fuzi. I will be live after the event. Larval Scoutlander. Let's see, we 6. Not going to be quite enough. Not gonna be quite enough. That's okay. We will swing in, Mr. Timeline Color. Oh, you're gonna let me get in. Okay. Scoutlander's about to get wild. Bartolome, swing for 2. Sakadaka. Sacagawea? That was sad. You did a sad thing. Station. Station. Smash! Oh, you know what? I should have stationed this thing too. I should have, but I didn't. Doesn't sack his Bartolome? I definitely got to get used to the idea. That I don't have to station all at once. Swing with the Scoutlander in the air. You poor man. How much more fun would it be if in early access there was a competition to win something? And the people that did the best during early access won something, like the top 10 or whatever. Top 8. I think that'd be sick. Alright, we're going to keep 7. We are going to keep the 7. And we're going to say hello to Shahar. Alright, Saz's Chocobo. Here we go. Here we go. And there it goes. I'll drink to that. Alright. Well, Forest, Bristly Bill. Show me the lightning strike. No? Nothing? Screaming Nemesis. The Nemesis is screaming. We're just gonna have to race it, boys. Can we race the Screaming Nemesis and the 𝐁𝐫𝐞𝐳𝐿? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. We could hit for 8 right now if we really wanted to. Don't think he can. I think we play the escape tunnel, but we don't crack it yet. And we swing for 5. If we do this right, just win next turn. Even if he drops a 5th land and uses that 𝐁𝐫𝐿, we're left alive at 2 and he's out of mana. I did the math. That's the only reason I played the last turn the way I did. But he could have other like burn and stuff, so it's not perfect. We're gonna have to take the one. We need to save it. Oh, here goes nothing. We double you. Take action. Put a forest into play. Double you. Move to blockers. We still got an escape tunnel to crack. And we smash. -16 against mono red. That feels pretty good. Granted, it was a weird style of mono red. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck techs, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.